Hello YouTube community, this is Barcode9588 checking in again. I'm really sorry about the year-long hiatus. I'm unfortunately going to have to stretch that hiatus maybe for a bit longer until at least final exams are over. That'll be sometime in May or June, so please keep an eye out for that. Today I don't have my webcam with me, I'm really sorry. I actually didn't intend to even make a video tonight, but I had just received a video user response from a user called Tacoma200. And it was about a very relevant topic that I've been thinking about for a few years, and he delivered it in a very genuine, very heartfelt way. So I just felt that I needed to respond to it. If you're interested, I do encourage you to watch it before you watch this video. It makes it more relevant. So I've included that link in the video description. So again, if you're looking today for anything about about the theory, or sort of the structure behind the Myers Briggs type inventory, I'm sorry, this is not the video today. You're going to have to unfortunately wait till the summer. Just I guess before I start, I'm really sorry this video isn't going to be as entertaining, I suppose, as it normally is, because this is about a topic that I've been thinking about quite a lot. And I do work at a crisis center, so I've been told that I have a very soothing voice that tends to put people to sleep somewhat. So if you're one of the people that fall asleep easily, I'm really sorry. Go turn on some dance music or something, whatever floats your boat. So without further ado, Tacoma200, he asked me, how do you reconcile being an extreme rational or an anti-personality type with being a person of faith? And he had went on to describe how he had been raised in a very religious household. And I'd like just to say, Tacoma, that I'm very similar to you in that regard, in that I was also raised in a very religious household. You know, everybody in my social circle, all my friends, my parents were very religious. You know, I had a huge role in my local church. I was a youth leader, and I had taught Sunday school at one point, which is kind of funny because I'm an atheist now. But I recently abandoned Christianity a few years ago when I was in the 11th grade. And I didn't abandon Christianity because it was illogical or that it was irrational. I abandoned Christianity because the system of logic that it was based upon was incompatible with my own. And I think that's sort of the crux of what my answer to your question, or what I'm about to go into more depth about, is that there's really the definition of what is faith, and what does it mean to live, and what does it mean to live and act logically. So first of all, I like to make a distinction. I think a lot of people, when I say the word faith, they automatically think religion, and I'd like to make that distinction. I think that, yes, faith is a huge component of religion, but faith is a huge component of life, period. So when I'm talking about religion tonight, I'm not talking about the cultural implications. I'm not talking about, for example, the sacraments or the rituals or any of the more physical manifestations of the religions themselves. I'm talking about the sort of non-corporal aspect of religion, and that is the faith. That is this more human side of it. So Tacoma was, I felt he was really struggling with, the idea, is faith always incompatible with reason? And by no means am I a definitive answer on this, but this is just my, my humble opinion. I don't think that faith is incompatible with reason. I think, as a matter of fact, reason is just, reason in itself is a form of faith. And then you get into the whole argument about, well, what exactly is faith? People automatically think, oh, faith is believing something without evidence. That may be one aspect of a certain type of faith, namely religion. But I don't think that faith necessarily, one of the requirements is that there be no evidence. There's a difference between faith and blind faith. So in answer to that, what is faith? Well, faith is, to me, it's just a really strong inner conviction in something, that it's based upon something else, that is within your personal values or your life values. So what is it to act logically, you ask? Well, as a computer science student, I guess I have something to say about that. Ones and zeros, binary, propositional logic, P or Q, Q implies P, or what have you. Not so much talking about that. I guess what you want to know is the application to daily life, that sort of folk logic, right? So I guess to answer your question, I'm just going to bring up an example that I have, and it's an example that I've used before with friends, and I call that the factor X example. Okay, so let's say, for example, and I live in Vancouver, BC, so we have a lot of homeless on the DTES, or the Downtown East Side, and you run into a lot of homeless folk. So, for example, let's say you have person A and person B. Let's say that person A is an atheist. So their system of logic or their faith is based upon the empirical rules of the universe we as a human society know so far. So that's all the physics, all the scientific learning that we've acquired so far. And then you have a religious man, and his system of faith is based upon, the teachings of his holy text, the teachings of his elders, and the teachings of his god and or gods. So what I mean by reason is just a form of faith is that I think that Factor X is basically what these two people use to make the decision what to do when a panhandler approaches them asking for change. Now, the atheist could say, I guess sort of this implies that, if you're an atheist, you don't give money to panhandlers. Of course, it's not true, but so don't flame me on that, but I'm just using this as a very arbitrary example. So let's say that the atheist, has no really obligation to give any money to this panhandler, and so his factor X, which is empirical science, has no obligation. It does not oblige him to give money to the panhandler, in which case he doesn't give money to the panhandler. And the religious man uses his system of faith or his factor X to make a decision. And then what is his factor X? Well, his factor X is based upon the Bible, which says be charitable to the poor. And so he gives money to the panhandler and then walks away. So what I'm trying to say is that it doesn't, the sort of intrinsic sense of truth of what exactly factor X is not so relevant when you're talking about making decisions in your daily life. Really, factor X is irrelevant what it is. It's just in what context you use it. So the fact that you can sort of draw up this formula with factor X means that, both the atheist and the religious man, I would say, were acting completely logically, because they were acting on something. They were making their decision based on factor X. And if they were in another situation and they did not use, or sorry, not another situation, if they were placed in the exact same context and they did not use factor X, they would the consequences of their run-in with a panhandler would be different. So I guess in summary, faith says nothing about what your values are. Faith is just a strong conviction. Faith is just a belief in something, and I think that in daily life, and obviously I'm not a theologist. What factor X is would matter if you're a theologist. But I get the sense of what you're trying to ask me is how do you live your life, following the laws of reason and following the laws of faith. And I get the sense, Tacoma, that you're very worried about being an illogical person. I think that truly the only ever time you can make a decision that is illogical is that if it's random. And of course there's the argument, is anything ever random, but I don't think that you're illogical at all. In fact, I think that people who are religious and who live their lives by that religion and their entire value system is built upon that religion, I think that they are just as logical as any atheist. There's the sense, in today's sort of secular society, that religious people, and I guess I could use Christians as an example, they're living with their heads above the clouds. People accuse the religious nowadays of not placing enough stock in their daily life because they've placed all their eggs in one basket, and that one basket is beyond their life, and so they have no reason to live logically in the life that is given to them now. And I don't think that's true. I think that it really does not matter what factor X is. I think it's how you use it and the context that you use it in. So I guess just in summary, how I reconcile, if I were a person of faith, how I would reconcile being irrational. And a person of faith is use your faith rationally. That's entirely possible. Using one does not logically exclude the other. They're just different systems of logic. But you can act entirely logical. It's just for the religious man, his system of logic is based upon his religion. And for the non-religious man, his system of logic is based upon sort of empirical evidence. So I guess that's all. That's my timer going off. So that's all I really have to say of the topic. If anybody has any other opinions, feel free to post something because this is a very fascinating topic. So yeah, thanks for watching, Tacoma, and I hope you find the answers you're looking for.